Hello, everyone. Welcome to Spiritual Spotlight series. Today, I'm joined by Terry Tucker. He is a speaker, author. He is also guested on a lot of podcasts, and he speaks about motivation, mindset, and self-development. Thank you so much for Terry to come on the Spiritual Spotlight series. I'm so excited you're here.
Well, Rachel, thanks for having me on. I'm really looking forward to talking with you.
So, you've had an incredibly diverse career from a SWAT hostage negotiator to a hospital administrator and now a motivational speaker. So, how has each one of these roles shaped your mindset and personal philosophies?
Yeah, I think I have to go back. I'm
Yeah,
the oldest of three boys. I grew up in a sports family. All three of my brothers and I played college basketball or
which is
baseball.
awesome.
My one brother was drafted by the Cleveland Cavaliers in the National Basketball Association. So our whole life revolved around sports. And you
Yeah.
learn early in sports the importance of mindset, the importance of, understanding that you've got to be focused and things like
Yes.
that. So that I think that goes back to just our parents, and teaching us those kind of things. And then as you move into life, I was a college basketball player.
Yeah.
I was a SWAT hostage negotiator, as you mentioned. And for the last 13 years now, I've been a cancer warrior, a cancer
Yes.
survivor. So that's all about controlling the mind. And I mean, you know that as a nurse and things like that. Yeah, it's just your life is really what happens between your two ears. It's not what happens out there. It's not what happens to you. It's how you react to it.
Absolutely. So you kind of brought this up, couple of things. So fighting cancer, facing cancer for the last 13 years is an incredibly journey of resilience. Can you maybe share a pivotal moment where it shifted your perspective on life?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. 2012, when I was diagnosed, they said, you'll be dead in 2 years. And I was like, oh, okay. You gave me a death sentence. How can I turn that death sentence into a life sentence? And it was finding your purpose. And I had done so many active physical things in my life,
Yeah.
from college basketball player to police officer to SWAT.
Yes.
And then in 2020, I had my second amputation. I had my foot amputated in 2018, my leg amputated in 2020.
Wow.
And so when you can't do what you're good at, I think you do what's important in
Hmm.
life. And that's really, I needed a purpose. I needed to find meaning in my misery during
Yeah.
all that ugliness and cancer and surgeries and treatments and medications. And that purpose now for me is, has changed to putting as much goodness, positivity,
Yeah.
motivation, love back into the world with whatever time I have left.
I think that's amazing. It's so important. I don't think people realize how much your mental mindset matters when facing health issues, financial issues, like just issues of life and trauma of life. And I think it's so inspiring that you've been able to really hone in on that and help others kind of dig out of that well of hopelessness.
Exactly. And I've learned a lot through cancer, but two things I've learned that I'll give to your listeners
Absolutely.
is number one, I don't think you truly know yourself until you've been tested by some
Mm,
form of adversity in your life. It doesn't have to be cancer or anything like that. It can be anything. And the second thing is, and this is going to sound kind of weird, cancer's made me a better human being. I've been asked the question, if I could live my life over again without cancer, would I do it?
yeah.
And honestly, Rachel, I don't think I would. I think cancer has made me that much better of a human being. I always say I've had a great life before I got cancer, but
Right.
I've done more living in the 13 years that I've been dying of cancer than I've
Right.
done in my entire life.
I want to say to you, like, I have chills with that answer. And two, I have a family member who has stage 4 cancer. And I feel like she's very much like you. She's has the mental mindset and she is like thriving within her cancer. And she has had the same answer that you just had. And I just like you're like the first person besides her that I've been able to make that connection with. And I find that to be so inspiring because she's like, no, I'm thriving. She travels, she lives her best life, even though she still gets chemotherapy, every other week.
Yep.
It's fascinating. It's fascinating to me, like how it's like, no, it's almost like a wake up call to like what's important, you
It,
know?
it really is. And I think, doctors, when I was diagnosed, I always say doctors are like Vegas, they're kind of like bookies. They look at you and say, based on your
These are your
age,
odds.
based on your overall health,
Yeah.
yeah, and then based on your stage of cancer, you're
Yeah.
going to live X. But
Yes.
what doctors don't know, like, is it your aunt or your sister that you just said that you were just talking about?
It's my stepmom. Yeah. My stepmom.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
What doctors don't know is that you want to see your daughter graduate from high school
Yes.
or college or walk her down the
Yes.
aisle or play with your grandkids.
Yeah.
And that having something to live for
Yes.
really does keep you propelling forward in your life.
Absolutely.
It's not just I sit back and say, oh, woe is me. No, I'm
Right.
going to live my life.
I love that so much. It's so inspiring. Yes, because you do see people like you mentioned, I am a nurse, I run a doctor's office, and you do see people that unfortunately they give up their will to live and then they meet the maker. So it is difficult to see. It's like who can really dig into faith, mental mindset, what's going to push them forward. And and then it's and no shame or judgment to those who are like, I'm good, and that's okay. So it is interesting.
Yeah, it isn't. But I always go back to Viktor Frankl, who was the Holocaust survivor, wrote
Yeah.
Man's Search for Meaning, and he had a great point in that book. He said, when people lose the will to live, it's almost impossible to get it back. So
So
don't lose the
true.
will to live in the first place.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you titled your book Sustainable Excellence. What does excellence mean to you, and how do you sustain it even in face of adversity?
Yeah, that's a great question. I always get that. You wrote the book Sustainable Excellence. What does excellence mean? My answer is, I don't know. And what
Ooh,
do
I
you mean
love
you don't know?
that.
You wrote the book. How can you not know what excellence is? And the reason I say that is because you and I may look at a sports team or a
Hmm.
band or a play or something like
Yeah.
that, and you may say, "Hey, that's excellent," and I may say, "Yeah, I think they're good, but I don't think they're excellent."
So
I think
true.
excellence, kind of like beauty, is
Yeah.
in the eye of the beholder. You've got to determine what excellence is for you.
So
So
true.
once you've done that, then how do you sustain it? How do you keep it going?
Absolutely.
And I think one of the biggest things is you've got to constantly innovate. I mean, what
Mm,
happens when people get to the top of the mountain? They sort of kick back, put their feet up on the desk, pour themselves a drink, and be like, man, I've arrived.
right.
And then what
Or
happens?
they keep going.
Well, exactly. But a lot of people don't. They're like, and then, but like you say, 6 months later, a year later, somebody passes them up and they're like, wait a minute, what happened? You
Yes.
didn't
Yes.
innovate. You didn't find another
Right.
segment of the market to offer something. You didn't find another product to
Right.
deliver with your service. And we get complacent. We're like,
Hmm.
we've made it. And what people don't understand, it's not, life doesn't happen when you get to the top of the mountain.
True.
Life happens on the journey to get to the top of the mountain.
Right.
And if your audience remembers nothing else that I say today, remember this. It's more important who you work with
Mm,
and who you work for
mm.
than it is the work that you do. Find people that care about you,
Yes.
find people that are willing to invest in you, find people that want to see you succeed,
Yes.
hitch your wagon to those people, and climb your mountains together.
That is such valuable advice. I will say that it's so true because if people don't value you and people don't if you don't hitch your cart to that kind of philosophy of I'm going to champion those that are around me, I'm going to rise above, we're going to rise together, I'm not going to gatekeep, I'm not going to it's so important. And the dynamic of what you do, regardless of what you're doing, it improves so much. It's because you're in it together. You're in it to win together.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean, if COVID taught us anything, it's we're not good separate. We're not good
no,
in isolation.
no,
We're better together. We can't be successful in a vacuum. We need other people.
absolutely, absolutely. So you've encountered extreme challenges from high stakes negotiations to major health battles. What mindset techniques or spiritual practices have helped you to maybe stay grounded?
I mean, I always say what's gotten me through my life, certainly what's gotten me through cancer in particular,
Yeah,
are what I call my three F's: faith, family, and friends. I have a very strong faith in God. And I remember when I was diagnosed, as
yeah.
I said, the doctors were like, we got nothing to offer you other than surgery. So they put me on a drug called interferon,
Mm,
which was
mm.
a horrible,
Yes,
nasty, debilitating drug.
yes.
You know that as a nerd. And I took a weekly interferon injection that gave me terrible flu-like symptoms for two
Wow.
to 3 days every week
Right.
after each injection. And I took those weekly injections for almost 5 years. I know, brain damage. That's kind of where I was, at that point in time. But there was a point in time in there, Rachel, where it was like I was so sick of being sick that I literally prayed to die. I kind of felt there
Oh,
were two camps. There was the
yeah.
living and the not dying. And I was in
Right.
the not dying. I wasn't really living. I was
Right.
just kind of marking time.
Being. Yeah.
Exactly. And so prayer was incredibly powerful for me. And then let me fast forward. So when I had
Sure.
my leg amputated and I found out I had tumors in my lungs, my doctor showed me my CAT scan. And I have no medical background. I don't know how to read a CAT scan, but you can kind of look at it and be
Yeah.
like,
I'm like,
huh,
oh,
well, that sure doesn't look like it belongs there. I had these big tumors in my lungs. I had
yes.
fluid all around the pleural spaces. And I remember
Wow.
looking at my doctor and saying, how was I alive? And
Yeah.
Rachel, till the day I die, will never forget this. He put his head down, he shook his head no, and then he looked up at me and he said, I don't know because you shouldn't have been, which said to me, God's not done with me yet. When I die,
Absolutely.
where I die, how I die, way above my pay grade. Don't
Yeah.
spend a lot of time worried about the dying.
Yeah.
Spend more time focused on the living. And I believe now God is using my malignancy, my infirmity, to show people his grace, his love, his mercy, his comfort, his compassion.
I
And
love
if
that.
that's what God wants to do with me until he wants to take me, I'm great with that.
I love that. It's so inspirational. I go back to my stepmom who again like she's been on different treatment plans and when in the beginning was in and out of hospitals and whatnot. But for the past, I think she's been diagnosed now 3 years. Past almost 2 years, she's had no evidence of active disease, being in stage 4. So, and it's like, in the same thing with the doctors, it's like, it was everywhere, everywhere. And it's the same thing. It's like, well, no, I really liken it to faith and God having a bigger purpose for you. And same thing for her. It's like, I know I have a bigger purpose and I have more to do here. So,
Right.
and so do you. And I just love this so much. It just makes you so like grateful for the fact that, you're living your life on purpose and that you have a bigger mission and to see, no, we can do this. We can overcome. It's just, I love this. Sorry.
Exactly.
Like,
And as a nurse, and I'm sure you've seen
yeah,
this,
I have.
and we haven't talked about this, but the opposite of this is true. A doctor says, hey, you're going to be dead in 2 years. Now,
Yes.
I've always wanted my life to be based on the decisions that I made,
Yes.
the ones that I didn't make or someone
Yes.
else for me. But I've also seen people, and I'm sure you have too,
Yeah.
where the doctor says you will be dead in 2 years. And
Yes.
literally on the anniversary
The
of that 2 years,
day.
they're dead.
Day.
Because,
It's like because they get it into their mental
yeah,
mindset, and then
yeah,
it's like okay, because and it's the same thing with the medical industry. We
right,
need to be able to go into our hearts and be able to discern. And I get that sometimes you're given tough information, and it's like, do you choose to take it in and trust it as the gospel, or am I going to choose to do something about it?
right.
It's like, what are we going to do? And it
Yeah.
is, yeah. I will say that I've been a nurse now a little over 20 years. And when I first started in the career, I worked in a hospital and I was one of only 2 nurses that did chemo. So because I worked on the oncology unit and I worked on another unit. And it is fast. You even then you could see like some people, it's like they're living to die, or some people that are just, I'm gonna beat this. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show
You're
you.
right. I mean, it all happens up here. I mean,
Yes,
the mind can will the body to do amazing things, but
absolutely.
people don't understand that. They
Yeah.
just yes to somebody in a white coat with a bunch of initials after their name. And it's like I've always said to my doctor, look, whatever you want to do, tell it to me, explain it to me,
Yes.
not in medicalese. I got to understand what you want to do and what you hope the outcome to be. If you
Right.
can explain that to me, then there's a
Right.
good chance I'll go along with you. If you can't, I'm probably going to be like, yeah, I don't think I want to do that.
I like that. And also, like, because you brought up another good point. It's okay, like, if you're hearing something that doesn't compute with you, get a different opinion.
Right.
Find a different doctor. Like, the same thing with my stepmom. Like, we actually sent her out of state to specialty care, and because she didn't jive with certain doctors. And I'm like, okay, well, let's find you someone else. And
Right.
they got the right treatment plan in place. So it's like, be okay with saying, this doesn't feel right to me, and go on to someone else. Sorry, that's
When your spidey senses go off like that, it's like, oh, wait a
trust
minute.
it.
This isn't feeling good. Yeah, you've got to do something different. And
Yes.
it's okay. And if your doctor's offended, well, then the heck with your doctor, find another doctor.
You're paying your doctor. They're not paying you.
Yeah.
So
And there's a reason they call it the practice of medicine. It's a practice. They're not 100% sure, you
I,
know.
I like that. The practice. I'm gonna next time someone says to me, like, it's the practice of medicine, and you're not always right. I'll get those doctors in line. No. So you've built a platform, Motivational Check, which is to help others live extraordinary lives. What inspired you to start this, and what has been the most fulfilling part of sharing your wisdom?
Motivational check is a word or a phrase that came from when I was in the police academy. And it was a phrase that our defensive tactics instructor gave us that if, I mean, we did some crazy things when we were in the police academy. You know, we would run to this big apartment building, had this fountain outside, and the fountain had about a foot of water in it. And we would get in the fountain and we would do push-ups and sit.
Oh
We
my
did, and then we would
goodness.
run back. We would be
Yeah.
all wet and stuff like that. But that phrase was, if you were just having one of those days, I can't go on. I'm
Mm,
hurting. You could yell out motivational check, and the rest of the class would yell 84. We were the 84th recruit class in the academy, just to let the person know you're not alone. We're here with you. We're struggling
oh,
as
I love
well,
that.
but we're going to get through this as a group, as a class, not
Yeah.
individually. So when I was looking for something, you know, what do I call this? Motivational check just kept coming over and over and over in my head. And one of the biggest things that I've learned through this happened about 6 months ago. I had a young man send me an email. Never met this person before. And he said, Terry, I just listened to your podcast and it was so inspiring. I really needed to hear it today. And I said, great. What was the name of the podcast? And he gave me the name. And Rachel, I didn't remember this podcast.
Oh my goodness.
I went back and looked it up.
Yeah.
It was a podcast I had done 2.5 years ago. And
Wow.
found the episode, listened to it, and said it inspired him to, he was having some health issues. So these things that we're doing now today
Yeah.
are, and the last thing I'll say about this is this. We a lot of times think that we don't, you know, oh, my story doesn't matter, or, you know, nobody cares about what I have to say or
Mm,
anything like that. And this, I'm going to give you a nursing story. So this was a young nurse that I met when I was in the infusion center. She was already a nurse, about 25 years old, but was
yeah.
learning, she was precepted. And about 6 months later, she's taking care of me by herself. And she comes in, she says, Terry, I've got a story I want to tell you, but I don't know how to tell it to you. And I'm like, I mean, Rachel, I don't know how to respond to that. What do you say?
Right.
I'm like, well, what you decide you want to tell me? So she's in and out for the next couple hours, finally comes in, sits down. She's like, all right, here's the story. She said, when I first met you, I was going to get out of nursing. I'd had a very good friend of mine die. I was in a really dark place. I had talked to my family. I was going to quit nursing. I was going to go to work for Amazon. And she said, and then I met you. And I see how you react. They have a terrible reaction to the medicine
Yeah.
that they give. And she said, then I went back when I was taking care of you into your file and I read about everything you've been through. And she said, when I finished reading your story, I knew I was where I was supposed to be. Now, if she would have never told me that,
Right.
I would have had no idea
Of
that my
course.
life had a positive impact on her.
Right.
So everybody who's listening to us that thinks your life doesn't matter, what you're experiencing doesn't matter, I guarantee you there are people out there watching you. Some you may know,
Yes.
some you may not,
Right.
that are watching how you handle your adversity and would give almost everything they have just to walk 5 minutes in your shoes.
I love that. Wow, it's how amazing that she felt like she definitely that she shared that with you because
Yeah,
you don't realize the positive effects that you leave with people and the ripple effect that
no,
happens like years, months, like after maybe we just had a brief encounter. Like
right.
that's fascinating. So, do you believe that overcoming adversity strengthens one's spiritual awareness? If so, how has your own spirituality evolved through your experiences?
Yeah, I mean, there have been many times where I mean, I figure if God made the entire world, if he's the supreme being, you know, if he made me,
Yeah.
there are times when I get mad at God. You know, there are times when I'll yell at God. I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't think this is fair. This hurts. I don't like this. Knock it off, you know. And I like to think that there's a relationship there.
Yeah.
That I can say, you know, on those days when I'm depleted mentally, emotionally, physically, when I'm crying, when I'm down on myself,
Yeah.
it's like God, I want to pray, but all I can say is God,
Yeah.
you know what I need. Help me out. You know, work with it. So this has really this battle through cancer has really allowed me to say, okay, I'm going to stand on your shoulders when I need it, But then on those times where I'm good, just be there in case I need
Yeah.
to stand on the shoulder, or in case, it's a trust fall where I need to fall backwards and you catch me,
Yeah.
that you're there for me. And honestly, Rachel, I would not be here if it wasn't for God. I
Right.
mean, I thoroughly believe that this whole thing, and if you think about it, God doesn't owe me anything. He made me. He can do whatever the heck he wants with me or
Right.
any of us. But he's given us freely his love, his mercy, his
Mhm.
caring, his compassion. He doesn't have to do that. He could be,
Right.
what? No, suffer. I could care less. But no, you love me enough to be there for me to get me through this. And hopefully I'm doing what you want. And God
Right.
has always been able to turn bad into good. I can use your bad, your pain, your suffering for something good. You may not know what it is, but I just trust that whatever I'm going to go through, he's going to use it for something that maybe I don't even understand.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what's one belief or habit that maybe you had earlier in life that you've since outgrown and what replaced it?
Boy, that's a great question. I think in a lot of ways, I mean, being a college athlete and that, I thought I was invincible.
Mm,
I mean, I mean, I'd overcome three knee surgeries in high school to play Division
right.
One college basketball. And I was invincible. And then I graduated from college. My dad was dying, and he was my hero. And I went into this kind of funk where I was like, I don't understand what's right or wrong. I
Mm,
don't, so like everything was, oh, I questioned everything. And I think that was more relying on me and less relying on something that was bigger than me. I think we
mhm.
should all be part of something that's bigger than ourselves. And I
Absolutely.
quickly learned that no, you can't do this by yourself. You've
Right.
got to do this with something that's bigger than you. And for me, that's been my faith.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So your book outlines 10 principles for leading an uncommon and extraordinary life. If you had to pick just one that's been most transformative for you, which would it be and why?
Oh gosh, perfect question. Love that question. And it's fun for me as an author because whenever somebody reaches out, there's always one principle that it's like, this is the one that resonated with me.
I love
But I
it.
put this in the book because I've done it in my life and I'm not proud of it. This is not something that, oh, look at me, look how great I am. No, I was an idiot for doing this. And the principle, I think it's number two. It's this one. Most people think with their fears and their insecurities instead of using their minds. And I
Yeah.
know I've done that, Rachel. I know I've wanted to start a project, get involved in business or something, and you pull back and you're like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe I'm
Mm,
not smart enough, or maybe I don't have enough information, or what will people say about me if I fail?
mm,
That's thinking with our fears and our insecurities. That's not thinking with our minds. And whenever I have the opportunity to speak, especially to young people, I always tell them if there's something in your heart, something in your soul that you believe you're supposed to do, but it scares you, go ahead and do it. Because
I
at
love
the
it.
end of your life, the things you're going to regret are not going to be the things you did.
Yeah.
They're going to be those things you didn't do. And by then it's going to be too late to go back and do them.
Absolutely. I always say to my clients that God wouldn't put these desires in your heart unless they weren't meant to come true. Like you have to, it's okay to be uncomfortable. It's okay to be scared. I always, and with fear too, false expectations appearing real. So that's beautiful advice. So before I ask you the last question, if anyone's interested in learning more about you, getting your book, you also have a blog, like you have a lot. Where's the best place for them to go to? He's like, I know, thank you.
Thank you. Here's the $20 I pay you for, it's like,
He'll pay me afterwards. No, just kidding.
yeah, the best way to get a hold of me to do all that is just go to my blog, my website called motivationalcheck.com and leave me a message there. You can get access to the book there as well.
I love it. So, for someone listening today who feels stuck in their own life, whether in their mindset, career, or personal growth, what's one actionable step that they can take right now to start leading an uncommon and extraordinary life?
So I'm going to tell you a story. It's
Love
going
it.
to start kind of weird, but work with me here on this one.
Okay.
This story happened back in the 1950s at Johns Hopkins University. There was a professor there by the name of Richter who was doing an experiment with rats. That's why as soon as he's going to tell a rat story. Yes, I'm going to tell a rat story.
Tell it. We don't care.
Okay. So he wanted to see how long the average rat could tread water. So he put these rats in a tank of water that was over their head. And the average rat treaded water for about 15 minutes. And just as those rats were getting ready to sink and drown, he reached in, grabbed them, pulled them out, dried them off, and let them rest for a while. And they took the exact same rats, and put them back in that exact same tank of water. And the second time around, on average, those rats treaded water for 60 hours. Yeah. First time, 15 minutes. It's not like, your
Yeah.
business is going to fail or your marriage is going
Right.
to go under or you're going to flunk a test. Your life's over. You're going to die. The
Right.
second time around, 60 hours, which taught me two things. The number one, the importance of hope in our lives.
Mm,
That if we know we're doing the right thing, maybe not today, maybe not this week, maybe not even this year, and nothing's 100%, but there's a really good chance if we know we're doing the right thing, we'll get to where we want to be. And the second thing it taught me was just how much more our physical bodies can handle than we ever thought they could. Now, don't get me wrong, I think we all have a breaking point, but
yes.
that breaking point is so much further down the road than we ever thought it was. We quit, we give up, we give in because we listen to our minds. Our minds say,
Mm,
this hurts, it's uncomfortable, stop it. And we do. You don't have to stop it. When it's hurting, when it's uncomfortable, when you don't think you can go on, just put one foot in front of the other, keep moving forward, and it's amazing what your life will end up looking like.
I love that. Keep moving 1 foot at a time. That's that's amazing advice. And it's so true. I'm thinking about when I exercise and I'm like, oh, but I can keep going. I can lift more.
Yeah,
I can
you
do
can.
it.
I mean, we know that from, looking at people who do marathons. They hit that
Yes.
wall, and if they keep moving forward, they get that
They
second
they'll
win.
do it.
That same thing happens with your mind.
So, so true. Oh my goodness. This has been amazing. Terry, thank you so much for coming on Spiritual Spotlight series. It truly has been amazing to talk with you today.
Well, Rachel, I've really enjoyed it. Thanks a lot, and I hope our conversation makes a positive difference with your audience.